Morten Høglund, chair of the Norwegian chairship of Arctic Council. You just received the prize, the High North Hero Prize, at the High North Dialogue in Bodø. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
How does it feel?
Well, it's a huge honor. Being a government employee, that's not something we are usually receiving these kind of prizes. So I'm very, humble but honored, and it's a great recognition, of course, for myself, but most of all for what we have been doing as chair of the Arctic Council.
You have been chair of the Arctic Council for 2 years almost.
Yes, but even before we became chair, it was quite a difficult situation. So we have to step into the role, sort of early, and the preparations was so many uncertainties. So it feels a lot longer than 2 years.
Your Esbjørn Eide said that the goal of the Norwegian chairship was to promote stability, constructive cooperation in the region. Has Norway achieved that?
Of course, with the geopolitical situation, there are many challenges, but we have maintained important work ongoing in the Arctic Council with all 8 Arctic states. And of course the indigenous peoples organizations, which are very important in this. So being able to safeguard the council, being able to have the working groups continue now to meet and have new projects, ongoing projects, all that kind of activity which we have been recognized for almost 30 years. That has been our goal, and we believe in an important result. So yes, I would say we have. There's still work to be done. So not saying that we are at the end stage, but we've come as far, I believe, as what we could do from the Norwegian chairship.
You had 4 focus areas in the chairship. It was climate, environment, sustainable economic development, and the people of the Arctic, the people of the North.
And oceans.
And oceans, sorry, yes, and oceans. Tell me how you work with that.
Yeah, we have had dedicated activities throughout all of these. Certainly, these are wide topics, so you could do a lot, but we have concentrated on some key efforts. For instance, on oceans, we've been very concentrating on ecosystem-based approach to ocean, a more holistic ocean management, and on both conferences, workshop, and also introducing new projects or new knowledge production in these areas, which will hopefully bear fruit in the years to come. Climate, environment being such an important part of what we do, continued basically the good work which has been there, but also making sure that the stories we tell and the knowledge we gather are well not only received, but that we find an audience. So we have taken that the climate dimension, or the more technical on the cryosphere, especially melting snow and ice, which is so happening at such an alarming speed in the Arctic. We have taken this to the global stage more directly. We have gone to the climate COP in Baku, telling the story, partnering with countries from outside of this region, in the Himalayas, looking at the connections, building partnerships. So this is just a few examples on these areas. On the people dimension, we have focused a lot on young people, youth engagement, giving youth a voice in general, but also within the Arctic Council. Hopefully something which will be carried on in the next chairships. So we had very successful, we believe, youth conference in Tromsø in end of January, having more than 200 youth from all over the Arctic coming together, discussing a conference designed by the youth for the youth. So that's one activity. On the sustainable economic development, still a lot of room for more activities on that one. So that one I feel it's maybe the one who hasn't. But also given the situation with the sanctions and everything, it's been challenging. But we also have to leave something for the Kingdom of Denmark, so and for others. So this is a continuous story, and I think we knew when we introduced our priorities that this is ambitious. In any circumstances, but especially given the circumstances which we have been operating under.
Taking over from Russia.
Yes, and not, of course, but taking over from Russia in a situation where practically, for all practical purposes, the Arctic Council was on pause. So you can, in a way, say, but it's Russia, but it was the whole situation. Which we were starting from more or less from zero, and then we had to build on that.
You said during your High North Hero speech that because the Arctic Council under your chairship has been about climate, it's been about wildfires, it's been about youth, and the future of the Arctic. You said that the security issue sucks the energy out of the room. What did you mean by that?
I mean, not within the Arctic Council, because we are countering that. But if people are asked about the Arctic today in media or at this conference, or the security dimension, for very obvious reason, comes to the to the front, center stage, and just looking at the media articles and what's going on. And that's a very important conversation, but it's not the only conversation in the Arctic. And what I was, in a way, warning against was that this becomes everything which is discussed on the high political stage about the Arctic. And that will be, I think, very unfortunate for everything else regarding climate, environment, oceans, indigenous people, youth, and so on. So our agenda is, in a way, a counterbalance of this. But just to be clear, it's not being sensitive to the need for a security discussion. It's just that we need to have many conversations about the Arctic.
When you took over with the then Foreign Minister Anniken Huitfeldt, you took over the chairship from a Russia at war. Like you said, the Arctic Council was on pause. There was nothing happening. Russia had the chairship. Nobody wanted to talk to Russia or to their foreign minister. After the successful handover from Russia, if you could even call it that, to Norway, it was called by a diplomatic piece of art in media. When you look back, how is it to look at everything that happened in hindsight? What impression do you have now?
It was intense. And when it was an achievement of diplomacy, that's not a one person or a one country achievement. And Russia was definitely a part of this. They were pragmatic. We were able to have a serious discussion how to do this. All because, as far as I have seen it from everyone, you wanted the council to survive. You wanted the Arctic Council to still be an important player. So with careful conversations, we made a plan for the transition and for how to restart activities. So it was without that kind of support, because we were discussing with 8 capitals, and if you include Tórshavn and Nuuk, you are 10 capitals, which is also in a way relevant in today's setting. So it was a slow, patient work, a lot of dedication from many, and yeah, it's like going into a tumble dryer, and you kind of put on full spin, and you just at some point you because you are so obsessed with it. So it's been interesting to say the least. Yeah.
Would you do it again?
If you ask my kids, I don't think they would have me do it again. But it's been the most rewarding experience of my career, because I think all of us who were involved in this, we feel it's important. It's and if the Arctic Council would fall apart, especially this unique setup with indigenous people sitting together with the member states, the close collaboration with universities, with researchers, with experts in the regions, with, all of that risked being pulled apart.
Yeah.
So, and under these circumstances, trying to rebuild something like that, I think would be almost impossible, at least for the near future. So we felt it was important, or still is important. So I would probably do it again, but yeah.
How did you get the job? Why was it you?
No, I had some previous experience working with the Arctic, but from other. I was in Norwegian Parliament for a number of years. I was the first chair of the Arctic parliamentarians, or of the Norwegian parliamentarian delegation. Then I was chair of the Arctic parliamentarians, circumpolar. So I traveled and I interacted a lot on Arctic affairs. I wasn't directly involved with the Arctic Council, but I was working quite close. I had been to a few ministerial meetings within the Arctic Council and so on. So I knew the issues. So I was, I don't know, sometimes you just, from my perspective, you happen to be in the right place to the right time. I was open for new possibilities, and the timing was very good. So that's part of luck, part of whatever is in, because I feel lucky that I've been able to work on this. Not at all saying that this, because again, you don't do this alone, definitely, and I'm very thankful to all my good colleagues in the ministry. And you work in a bureaucracy, you are a puzzle in the system. But it's since I started working on Arctic issues in 20 years ago, I've been very passionate about it, because it's I feel very strong about the region, about the people, I was away from the Arctic for about 10 years. But you come back and it's like coming home to your family. Very many of the same people, same issues, of course. And you feel welcome. It becomes a very, in that sense, even if the issues are complex, sensitive, important, it is also a good place to be. Because
everybody pulls in the same direction.
And you feel the support. And that's what I felt when I received the award today. The support is genuine, because it's people want you to succeed, but because we are doing this together. You have a common interest in, and that's what is when you travel all over Norway. In the Norwegian Arctic, but not only the Norwegian Arctic, because this is universal in the Arctic setting. you are, and you can have the same stories in northern Canada, in Alaska, and years ago in Siberia. You feel the hospitality and the warmth from the people.
What do you want to tell Denmark? They take over in May, middle May, yeah?
Yeah.
What's your message?
No. We have a very, very good cooperation with them. They are well prepared, and I don't have to tell them anything but what is important that you have to be respectful to all members.
Yeah.
If we have.
Are you talking about America now? Or Russia?
No, I think all, and that can be, and that certainly includes both America and Russia.
Yeah.
You have to be respectful, and you have to not actively discriminate against, or not. And transparency is so important. So, whatever you do as chair, you must communicate to all.
Okay.
Given the situations with travel restrictions, sanctions, it's been impossible to have as many in-person activities, and it's impossible to invite participants from all countries to every event.
Yeah.
And that's in a way a given. Unfortunate, but it's a given. But then you have to be able to explain it, and you have to be able to be very forthcoming in how you and finding mechanisms for still keeping the lines of communications open.
Yeah.
And that's been difficult. It's tricky. I'm not saying we have done it perfectly. I think it's still, and the Kingdom of Denmark will find their way. But I have always felt that every member of the council must feel that it's something in it for them.
Yeah.
And if they don't feel either included or that the agenda is not really about their priorities, they will at some point not decide not to be part of it.
Right.
So, yeah.
So you think there's a future for the Arctic Council?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a future for the Arctic Council? We, all of us, has had this is a long-term project. If it was a short-term project, I think we would have kind of buried it and maybe revisited it in a few years. We're trying to think 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line. And as I said, reinventing it is too difficult. So it's better to keep it moving. But there's always new challenges, and you touched on some of the recent ones. And we also have to deal with that.
So one last question, Morten Høglund, what's next for you?
Oh,
a holiday?
Long holiday. I think I quite a number of holiday time, or much holiday time that I don't expect to be in the office much this summer. I honestly do not know what's next. I do hope I somehow can stay connected to the Arctic, and because I basically love it, but it will be in not directly with the Arctic Council, but still to decide or find out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sitting down, and again, congratulations on the High North Hero Prize.